This is Backstory, the podcast powered by the newsroom of the Ithaca Voice. I'm Zerez. It's Tuesday, July 14th. Trumansburg's one and only GrassRoots music festival returns this week for the 34th year. We're going back to the roots with one of the festival's co-founders, local musician Jeb Puryear. But first, a roundup of some of the other stories we've been following lately. That's after a short break. Stay with us.
Backstory is supported by Cayuga Health and Arnott Health, members of Centralis Health, connecting our community with accessible, compassionate care that's built around you. From same-day appointments to long-term wellness support, Centralis Health helps you stay healthy and informed. Learn more at centralishealth.org.
It may be the summer, but we've still got to cover business first. All charges were dropped in the case of Ira McKinley. He was arrested after he saved a woman from a dog attack at Wegmans in June. McKinley yelled at a Wegmans security guard and bystanders after the incident for not intervening in the attack. He was initially charged with 2 misdemeanor charges related to the incident, as well as 2 violations for trespassing and resisting arrest. But there was an outpouring of community support for McKinley, including from the woman he saved, Margaret Wakely. Critics said they think that McKinley, who is black, would not have been arrested if he was white. Charges were dropped earlier this month. Save the music or keep the peace. Dozens of people packed Danby's town hall last week for a public hearing on a proposed noise ordinance. It's the latest development in a years-long disagreement between South Hill Cider and its residential neighbors over how the cidery hosts live music events. And honestly, it seems like no one's really happy with the proposed noise law. South Hill Cider owner Steve Sellen says the draft noise ordinance would make it too hard to host live music. Plenty of South Hill Cider fans showed up to support his business, saying that live music venues are a dying breed here in Tompkins County. On the other hand, neighbors like Susan Perry say they worry that the policy will be too difficult for the town of Danby to actually enforce. They say the town has failed to enforce its existing policies, which is why, in part, this disagreement has been simmering for so long. And in Lansing, a rush of Freedom of Information requests will reportedly cost the town at least $200,000 in administrative costs. That's according to town officials. It's one of the unforeseen side effects of the debate over a controversial data center proposed to be built on Cayuga Lake. There are several ongoing legal proceedings related to that project, which may be contributing to those requests. Now, before we go up to Trumansburg, an update from the city of Ithaca. The city signed off on the purchase of a nearly 6-acre property on Ithaca's West Hill. It's just down the street from Lehman Alternative Community School. The land used to host an Army Reserve facility, but has been vacant since 2018. Now, the city of Ithaca will purchase it from the Army for $1.7 million. And Ithaca Common Council member Patrick Keel is stepping down on August 5th. He's leaving to pursue a Ph.D. in Austin, Texas. Keel is one of 2 older persons representing the Collegetown area, or Ward 4, if you prefer. He narrowly won his seat on the council in 2013 by waging a controversial secret write-in campaign. He got a lot of flack at the time, but it seems his fellow council members have really come around since then. Many thanked him for his work. Now, council members will need to appoint someone to finish Keel's 4-year term, and currently there's about a year and a half left. So if you live in the 4th Ward and you want to wade into city government, applications reportedly open soon. For more, visit ithacavoice.org online for all the latest coverage. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll go over to Trumansburg.
The Ithaca Voice is nonprofit, nonpartisan, and community-based. If you value local news, help fuel it with a contribution at ithacavoice.org.
You're listening to Backstory. I'm Zerez. Even if you're not packing up your tent, cooler, and other GrassRoots paraphernalia, It's hard to deny that the festival has become one of the major events of the summer here. Former Ithaca Voice editor-in-chief Matt Butler chats with local musician and GrassRoots co-founder Jeb Puryear about the backstory of the long-standing festival, which kicks off in force on Thursday. And a note, this segment originally aired on July 18th, 2025.
I'm Matt Butler. This is Backstory. I'm joined by local musician Jeb Puryear, who, along with family and friends, organized the precursor to the festival back in 1990 and hosts the festival as part of his band, Dawn of the Buffalo. They've done so every year since then. Jeb, it's good to have you, man. So many folks have been to GrassRoots, but not everyone really knows the origin story of how it came about, I think. So could you take us through that first, benefit concert at the State Theater? What was the motivation there? What made you want to, organize something like that?
It's happened fairly organically. We grew up in large community of musicians, and there was a lot of different bands around. And it was really the brainchild of our other guitar player, who's now passed, Jim Miller. He just wanted to do an event where the musicians got together and kind of develop musical camaraderie between all the groups. And so we did it with Neon Baptist and the Horseflies and our band, Dawn of the Buffalo. And then it went to a point where we didn't want it to really be a money-making, that wasn't really the vibe, like kind of remove the entrepreneurial vibe out of it. And so we decided to make it a benefit. And then, which is sort of unusual because a lot of people that put on benefits, the initial thing is the cause. So we started looking for a cause. And of course, back then, the AIDS epidemic was it was big and bad. And it was really sad. But anyway, we knew a lot of people closely that were involved with AIDS work of Thomas County. Our buddy Ruby Max Fury worked over there. And they were doing great work and very underfunded. But anyway, the idea evolved, and it became very community-centric since it was a benefit. And the camaraderie between the musicians was great, and the whole thing just worked in this beautiful way. And it had this great feeling about it. The following year, the years were a little longer then as well. More happened. But this is, a real backstory. A band went through some changes, and we didn't really fall completely apart, but there was some little trouble that we didn't no need to mention it.
Creative differences, yeah.
I was hoping to get the band back together again by starting this festival, and that sort of worked. But then the thinking being that the festival develops along a tradition, and as we can see, it holds true. It's a real community building, and people have a lot of shared experiences that are very positive.
So that was the original goal, sort of camaraderie, and obviously there was a financial aspect for the AIDS epidemic to support that as well. Has that changed over the years? Do you feel like that's migrated to a different point?
Well, at a certain point, those people started getting funded by the government, deservedly so, and then so the benefit portion spread to arts and education and so on and so forth. No one would ever develop this business plan we had that if we ever made any money that we gave it all away, which was great. But it left everything on a razor's edge as far as margin goes. But
in terms of that original first couple of years of the festival, that had to be a pretty heavy load, even when the crowds were smaller, I imagine. So what went into that first couple of years? How big a challenge was that?
It was quite a challenge. We borrowed $5,000 from a friend of ours, bless her, and then we started selling ads in this program. And I think the first year's budget was like, well, I remember well because I would do it over and over again on a big envelope. But it was $78,000, and some people think, well, that's. I told this story just a little while ago, and then somebody said, well, that's a lot of money, but actually, that's an incredibly small amount of money to put on an event. Where you have lots of bands coming in, sound and lights and porta-johns and all the, what I mean? It goes on and on. Early on, it was even more of a struggle than it is now because it wasn't like we had any funding. Just for people's context, most arts organizations that present music like we do are funded by other sources. Because back in the day when I used to book all the bands and order Porter Johns, and and those back in the phone days, where you had phone, and I had two phones, one in one ear and one in the other. But I would be talking to other presenters that had events around the same time, and we'd work on maybe booking or with certain groups, teaming up and booking a run or whatever. But they would always ask us, how are you funded? and so it's like, we're not funded. We survive on ticket sales, and they're always very surprised, So the thing about GrassRoots, it really, like most ideas or like the automobile or whatever, you can't even imagine it not existing or something like that. So in some way, ethereally, it already existed. We just happened to be the ones that did it,
It's very deep. That's meta. So it seems like, pretty much everyone has a memorable experience at GrassRoots and maybe a couple that they can't remember. But what about you? What are some of the, good or bad, some of the best experiences you've had at GrassRoots in the past 33 years?
I would say the one that really sticks out the most is Tara had produced a solo record with this song called Troubles. And she had got Muti Sinqua, a Native American performer that comes to the festival a lot. And she got him to record some chants in the background of this song. We decided to do it at GrassRoots on Saturday night, I think. And the weather was nice. Started this song. It's going along quite well. And Muti started doing his chant. And I instantly started crying. And then the wind started freshening. And he's going, I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. He's going and it's building, and the wind just started really picking up. And stuff actually started blowing around. It was an actual wind, like stuff blew over. And then the song ended, and it just settled right down.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. To see what the festival has turned into today, what are you proudest of about it?
You would think that something, when it goes a long time, would kind of just take care of itself. But in some ways it does, but in a lot of ways it doesn't. It takes a lot of energy to keep something going. And I think we've done a good job with that. And people would ask, after year 5, well, where do you see it going? I said, well, I hope it gets, you want everything to get a little bigger. And you also want it to be sweet and as beautiful as grouping of personalities and, performers, people that show up, people that dance, people that listen. So I would say pretty proud of keeping that going. And then a side goal of GrassRoots is to try to do a little bridge building. Humans are easily divided. And so you have the locals, you have the university crowd, you have the so on and so forth, old, young. If there can be a line, it will be a line. We did the best we could to make GrassRoots a culturally neutral, if you would, place for people to meet. And of course, a lot of people think it's just a hippie festival, and some people think it's just a drug fest. But, people say all kinds of things. But music in itself, it brings people together. Just having that connectivity between whoever shows up that is what GrassRoots is. It's all of us and the feeling between us that make it super special.
And what's going to make this year super special? What's some new and exciting stuff coming to the festival this year?
We're going to have NASCAR go around the track.
That's exciting. That'll add a whole new element to it. Yeah, you can probably gamble on that too. Yeah.
No, that's probably very good. We should actually do that. We'll do that in a couple of years. New and exciting. You try to get new stuff. Of course, Lucas Nelson's going to be there. He's never been there, and Lucius, and a lot of great performers that have never been there. But as far as like being something brand new is really, if you succeed in it being what it is again, that's will be brand new. If you know what I'm saying. It's just like you had a great time last year. We're looking forward to having a great time this year.
Each festival is unique. Yeah, no, I understand that for sure. So, because you mentioned the name Lucas Nelson, I have to ask the question. It's been floating around at least some local drinking establishments. Are the rumors true? Is there a chance that Willie Nelson appears at GrassRoots this year?
Definitely.
Definitely he will appear, or there's definitely a chance?
Definitely a chance.
Good answer. That's a good answer. Now, 33 years is, I mean, it's a long time to do this every year, to sort of get motivated for it every year. Have you ever thought about either ending GrassRoots or just sort of stepping away yourself?
Well, I mean, I used to work in the office like every day for the first like 12 to 15 years, and I don't do the day-to-day, They trot me out to yak with you a little bit, but no, is the answer to that. The big goal now is to tidy things up, make it manageable, and the next generation is currently taking hold and doing wonderful work.
When you pass the torch, what happens then? What does that look like for you guys? For Donna the Buffalo, I should say.
It'll look like the end.
So that'll be it. That's the retirement stage then?
Probably be more than that.
Okay, the true final stage. Okay, duly noted. Gotcha. If you, let's say, go back 30 years, if you could give yourself some advice, what would it be?
I mean, we learned a lot, made tons of mistakes, but I don't know whether necessarily want to change too many of them. I have a fairly broad-minded view of what a life experience should be, and I don't know. I can't think of too many turns we made that were big mistakes or anything like that. Other festivals, got real big, and there's part of you that thinks like maybe you could have done that, But in a way, it's that thing between people is really the magic, and that's pretty much where we try to make our decisions based on whether that's good for that or not good for that.
Do you think we can listen to a little bit of your music to play us out?
Sure, if you dare.
We dare. Thank you so much for joining me, Jed. You've been listening to Backstory. I'm Matt Butler with local musician and GrassRoots co-founder Jeb Puryear. Jeb, thanks for chatting with me, and good luck with the festival this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That was our very own former editor-in-chief, Matt Butler, speaking with Jeb Puryear. Music in this episode is by Trumansburg-based band Donna the Buffalo. Our managing editor is Jimmy Jordan. Ron Van Ormer is our executive director. Our photographer is Casey Martin. Our reporters are Fernando Figueroa, Haley Potter, and Brian Crandall. We got to give some credit here to our former editor-in-chief, Matt Butler, who you heard today on this re-air. This is Backstory. I'm Megan Zerez, senior reporter here at the Ithaca Voice. Stay cool this week, and we'll see you around out there.